Whatever it is for you, hope everybody's doing good out there. How we all doing? How we all doing today? Oh, hold on, I'm dark because I didn't even turn my little light thingy on. There you go. Ah, flashbang. Suck it, chat. Woo, chat. How's we doing, man? Yo, Jack, good night. All right, good night to you. That's what it is. Oh, guys. Welcome in, welcome. You know, if you were not here, you know, the last stream, we had kind of a banger secret stream. I'm still recovering from it. I went from the secret stream to let's see, the next night we had like a wine party and then a wine tasting, and then I don't know. It was just it was a crazy weekend, but I am glad to get back into the charts. I've not sat down and been able to like properly go through the charts and get you know, kind of get my fingers into it. Obviously, I've glanced at price. I've seen kind of, oh, the number is this, but I haven't really, you know, analyzed it. So we'll be able to do that. We'll be able to do that together. Oh, the bull mask. You know what? I'm gonna leave it up for now. I put that up for the Bitcoin for the halving party, which we gave away a lot of prizes. We gave away all kinds of stuff, man. Let's see, I think we had like 8 winners and it was like $400 or $500 total. So everybody should have gotten their money except for one guy. They were all supposed to be Litecoin wallet addresses, and one guy in particular, he sent, what was it, I think it was a Bitcoin wallet address. I kept getting errors no matter how I tried to send it to him. So anyway, we'll get that settled with him. But everybody else got paid out. If you didn't, let me know. But you should have it. I got confirmations on everything. So thanks for hanging out, man. The halving was great. We are in a new epoch. This is the first stream of the new Bitcoin epoch. So as of last week, the halving has taken place, and every 10-minute block is half of the amount of Bitcoin, the block reward, whatever you want to call it. It is half what it was for the past 4 years. It is suddenly, you know, snap your fingers, and it is it was cut in half. Now, obviously, the hope, if you're a Bitcoin maxi of any sort, if you're a speculator, you know, you're hoping that supply crunch, that the decrease in supply will result in an increase in price. So it's the old supply demand problem. So that, you know, fingers crossed, if you're a big Bitcoin believer, as I am, that's the game. Obviously, on this stream, though, we like to kind of get into the nuances of it and try our best. And though we fail many times, sometimes we get, you know, a good base hit and a good home run. But we like to see what price might be doing in the next day, the next week, the next month, the next quarter. You know, and there are times when people just move too fast. They speculated as hard as they could, and they ran price up to an unsustainable level, even though we are in the halving in a new epoch. So there could be a situation where price is just like way ahead of its skis. It needs to come back a little bit, 30%, 40%, whatever. And then life goes on, and we hit new all-time highs. We're in 100K before you know it. But there's always those possibilities. Or perhaps it's the opposite. Maybe we look at the charts and we're like, you know what? It's time to full send. Maybe this is the time we go for it. So that is the goal of today's stream, is to kind of reassess, basically, especially with it being a new epoch. It's a great time to kind of have like a fresh start. We've had a lot of conversation on distribution, and we're still going to focus on that because I still think that's one of the best ways to look at the market. But I also think, just as a bias check, you know, obviously there's been a lot of people attacking me publicly on Twitter for even discussing some sort of distribution. Like, it was crazy how many people were angry and upset at me, like big follower influencers and stuff. People were really pissed off about that one. So I've had to kind of like knuckle down and be like, no, look, this is what the charts say. And I spent a lot of time like defending that position. I kind of don't want to do that today. I feel like I've done that enough. We've seen what we've seen. We've gone over it many streams. I kind of want to spend some time today just like almost erasing that from our perspective, and let's see if there's anything else to be gained. There's lots of interesting interactions with the trade range. I think we should look at that. There's been some interesting updates to open interest. There's been some interesting updates to funding. So there are some things worth looking at that's like outside of the perspective of just like distribution and you know the Wyckoff side of things. So although we will touch on it and we will spend some time on it, I'm just not gonna like you know full send all in on that kind of stuff. Okay, catch up on chat. What's up, guys? Power plant, what's up, man? Has there been an impact to hash rate? We'll check that first, actually, because I honestly don't know. I'll have the full send, please. I love it. That's what's wrong with today's culture. Can't even propose different perspectives without being attacked. Dude, it was 100% like that. It was like, oh, this guy is an outsider. He wants it to fail. It's like, guys, y'all remember that Bitcoin went from like, you know, in cycles past $200 to 1,000 to 400 to 5,000 to 2,000 to 20,000. Like, it's not, you shouldn't just have tomatoes thrown at you for saying, hey, like, hey, I think this may be a little overblown. Anyway, here we are. OMG, it's PBM. What's up, man? Thank you for the 2 months of tier 1. Thank you, guy. Got my Litecoin. Shout out to the best crypto streamer. Good, Puppet. Good, bro. All right. So y'all know I like just kind of chilling. So let's look at like the hash rate and stuff. It's the internet. You know you're going to get a lot of flack for whatever you say. Oh, hey. You know, what's the old saying? You get the most flack when you're right over the target. It's probably just, I don't know. Who knows? All right, Bitcoin hash rate. Let's take a look at hash rate. How do you get rid of this crap? Okay. Can I turn yeah, okay. That's all I want. All right, what has hash rate done? This is the $1 million question. What has hash rate done? I'm gonna turn my face off here so you guys can see it without any kind of issues. Since the halving, you know, leading up to the halving, right after the halving, all that. What have we done? Let's see. So hash rate exploded right on the day of the halving. The halving took place on the 19th. And since then, it's dropped a bit, you know, maybe about 5%. Now, obviously, hash rate, I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but hash rate is not, it's not like checking your electricity meter outside or your power meter or whatever. There's not like a dial and it goes up or down and it shows like a digited number and you know exactly what the hash rate is. It's actually an estimation of sorts. But you know, they use different sites, like blockchain does it one way, but most of them do it roughly the same. But just as an FYI, that's kind of the background here. There's no perfect way of doing it. So this is probably one of the better ones. But let's see. Back in January, we were as low as, I don't know like what this properly is other than saying 469 million terahashes. I'm sure there's like a better way of reducing that word down. 6.5 something, some word that I don't know. But anyway, so it has roughly risen since January from, what is this, like 450, 460 up to over 650. Was like a 50% increase. So a pretty monstrous increase in hash rate since January. And you can see that this is kind of in a almost like a channel. There's no sign of this thing stopping. This is for the last year. Here's the last 3 years. Looks like July of 2021, it was 87 million. And again, here we are up at like the 650 range. If we look at all time, obviously we're like just in full send mode since like 2010. Let's see. I wonder where like the first 1 terahash blip was. Looks like it was back in 2011. That's pretty crazy. Day that will go down in infamy, I guess. This isn't perfect, but somewhere in maybe the first or second week of May. It's pretty wild. I wish I could have like been there for that, you know. I'm pretty late into the game. I'm somewhere in this 2016, like kind of mid to late 2016. That's when I got involved. So even since I got involved, like look at this. This is crazy. It's crazy to see. One thing worth pointing out is a way to view these markets a lot of times is that let me switch this to logs. That's not really much better. You can either buy Bitcoin one of two ways. One is you use your cash, you use dollars, you use fiat, whatever, the euro, whatever your currency is, or you pay with electricity, you mine it. So, one thing to pay attention to is what the miners are doing a lot of times. Because there's kind of this old saying that the when the miners are increasing their hash rate, when this is going up, they're long Bitcoin. They're either buy Bitcoin with your dollars, or you buy it with your electricity, and clearly these guys are buying it with the electricity. So they are willing to pay the costs, the infrastructure costs, the electricity costs, all that, to get their Bitcoin, their per block Bitcoin. So it's very interesting to see these guys are in full send, and a lot of times too, the bear market bottoms will be noted. This is not always the case, but it has been in the past. I wish I could kind of like zoom in on some of these more nuanced, like 2018 and stuff, just to show you. But let's see what this moment in time was. Like, what is this? Early July 2021. Early July 2021. What was that? I honestly don't even know, like off the top of my head. Let's see. July 2021. Oh, it was this. Oh, that's interesting. And then really so it was like the first sell off after the first new all-time high, so 60 whatever thousand, 66,000, 65,000. So that was the big sell-off. And if I remember right, I think this had something to do with like, don't eye roll or vomit when I say this, but I think this was back during the China bans Bitcoin thing, and they actually moved all miners out of mainland China, and a lot of them came to the US at that time. I could be misremembering that, chat. Please, hold me to the light here if something was off on that. CS Epidemic with the 40 months, dude. Holy crap. Big love, my man. Thank you for that. Holy crap. That sounds right. Yeah, I think that's right. I think it is right. CS! How's Counter-Strike doing? How's the world of Counter-Strike? I haven't even looked over the fence in a while. Okay. Oh, I got all my kids on the bus and stuff, and then I fell asleep with my dog and I woke back up. So if I still have sleep in my eye, that's what it is. Yeah, it was distribution. Everyone was blaming Elon and then China, etc. Yeah, I do remember. Was talking about how this was distribution all the way through, and nobody really liked that. What was I'll show you the tweet because it was kind of cool to see it play out. Oh yeah, here we go. Found it. This I was not anybody's friend right here when I tweeted this out. This was at the first top. That was here. And then watching that kind of like play out was pretty wild. Yeah, that was nuts. That whole situation was crazy. But I always thought, look, this is okay. So yay, I'm patting myself on the back. I also failed horribly here too when this happened, because I did not know, this was like the rookie in me. I did not know that we could go from distribution straight into a bottom of any sort, an interim bottom, a low time frame bottom, whatever. I thought this was like a demand of the market, that if you showed me, like this kind of chart right here, I thought this was a certainty that it had to come down and consolidate in, like some kind of horrific scenario, almost like the Eiffel Tower that we trade a lot. like what MSTR did and stuff like that. So I thought that's what had to happen. So this was a really interesting. That was the first time you heard ever seen a teleporter. Yeah, that was funny. This little moment right here. Anyway, this was the first time that I learned that distribution does not require a multi-year accumulation on the other side of it. So that was kind of cool. That was like, oh, okay, now it's great. I nailed something that a lot of people did not, and then I got served this massive dish, this giant slice of humble pie right after it. So that, markets love to do that kind of thing. You'll think you're like God's gift to trading, and then next thing you know, it does something like that, and you didn't even know that was possible. It's not even like you bet that wasn't going to happen, like as though you identified it as a possibility. You were like, no, that's not even a possibility. That is impossible. And then it did it. It's like, okay, all right, cool. And then we started thinking about this entire thing in terms of a giant trade range, and then ultimately, we lost the range. And we did. I remember this kind of stuff too. Obviously just trying to make sense of what's going on, because I did not have a clue. So this was later. This was like late 2021, September 2021. So we're starting to kind of get up in this range, and I noticed the similarities between what was starting to happen. It obviously not at this low time frame, but in the end, that was kind of the right view of the market, because it did end up doing, like, this was the I referred to this as like the study guide and then the test, because these were almost exactly the same, with this like rising wedge into the range highs, a breakdown, ultimately, giving it all away. Crazy times. This whole thing was so nuts. And then in hindsight, we learned that FTX was playing games. What did they did something crazy. It was something, if I remember right, it was like, if you sent them, let's say you sent them 100 Bitcoin to trade. And so in your mind, your 100 Bitcoin sitting on their exchange, and you buy or sell when you're ready. But what they revealed in all their court cases and stuff is that when you, if I remember this right, I'm not swearing on the Bible here. This was my takeaway. But I'm pretty sure this is accurate. When you sent, say, your 100 Bitcoin to FTX, they would immediately market sell it. They instantly market sold it. And then they directed those funds into like Solana or whatever. Like they redirected the funds wherever they wanted to send them. Interesting. Very interesting stuff. Okay, so like I said, kind of right at the start, guys, let's get into the charts. Let's look at this. And we will look at this from the perspective of distribution, obviously, this where we are today. But I want to kind of erase everything away, literally right click, remove drawing. And I still have this where it's all like doctored up and stuff, but I want to look at it from a fresh perspective. So if you just opened the chart, you just started looking at this market, what would your take be? What would somebody with no bias, up, down, left, right, whatever, like what would a truly neutral take be? So I think that's like always a good way to look at things. Let's see. So at first you had this sort of like trends that's starting to get like chopped and diced up. I wonder if there's anything to that actually, like if you continue it. That's interesting, right? Like I've never really paid attention to this, but it looks like the market likes to play around with it one way or another. Interesting. Not really anything I can hang my hat on though. So moving on. It looks like there was some sort of bottom. There's a breakup. Clearly there's some consolidation. Within this consolidation, you had these downtrends that eventually broke up. Okay, so probably somewhere in here was where it was really clear. There's no arguing it. This is time for another leg up. This is gonna send it right now. And there was a move from, let's say, the 20s to the mid 40s. So basically doubled in price and consolidated for a period of time. This looks like it was from December to February. So almost 2 months. I'm not sure like exactly, but let's call it 2 months within this structure. You know, there's all kinds of stuff there, but let's just say about 2 months in here. And then it went up pretty aggressively into this level where today we sit. And this is between, 74 to 60, 60 to 74. So about a $14,000 range. And at this level, that's about a 20% range. So there, it's in this range, currently ranging with about like a 20% up or down, right? So let's zoom in on this. And let's focus on this a little bit more. So within the confines of a trade range, here's what we got. One noticeable aspect is the lows are never run, at least after this initial impulse. They're not run up until here recently. It almost looked like it was trying to go parabolic yet again after going, parabolic a number of times before it. It spent a lot of time up here at the highs. There is a sort of level right here that the market showed it could not get over, and also pointed out that this is very interesting. This is the market's way of saying like, hey, this level is important. It looks like it was right at 71.5. Market always picks these like really weird numbers to me. There's like, why 71.5 of all things? Why not 70? Why not 69? Anyway, big sell-off running the lows. Sell-off, not necessarily as volume because we don't have volume on right now, but as far as price action goes, downtrend break, run of the lows, and now here we sit. And the question is, if you were a neutral party, if you were unbiased, if you had no, hill to die on, how would you like draw this? How would you label this? Would you say that this is bullish? Is this bearish? Is it somewhere in between? Do we not know yet? So let's dive into this range a little bit more. I'm going to switch it to the 4-hour. Let's take a look. Okay. First thing I notice again, this is with my goggles of like just trying to be completely neutral. First thing I notice is there was let's examine this little moment in time right here. Price runs the upper range, not the high, but there's like this zone up here. So it ran this upper zone, this like band right here. Ran the high, sold off, came down to the lows, running lots of stops. If I wanted to see some kind of bullish setup, it would look a lot like this. So this breakdown and then this recovery, you can see there's almost a creek there. I don't know necessarily that you can really call it a creek quite yet because there hasn't been a big explosive jump that's like everybody can tell is a break of some sort of downtrend. Like this, like that's very obvious to everyone. But compare kind of like what happened here to right here. And I think it's pretty fair to say there hasn't been this in-your-face creek jump. Perhaps it's happening just in slow motion, but that's really tough to say. Like now you're just kind of speculating. So I don't know. This is why these kind of things are really important to markets, and they happen quite a bit. They happen like right before key moves, up and down, right? They're very important. So we haven't really seen that yet. So I got to hand it to the bulls that something like this would start getting me to lean bullish. On the lower time frame, there are some downtrends that did break, but when we're talking about like the higher time frame, where's the sell pressure, that kind of thing. The question in my head is, let me back up. A lot of times when there's a big sell-off, like right here, this is a great example, massive sell-off. The market likes to do this cheeky little thing where it comes back and it runs the high of, like the start of the sell-off before it actually goes on to lower low, like a lower point than where that initial point took it. So this happens all the time in markets, right? There's the initial sell-off, there's kind of a low volume rally, and then next thing you know, we're making new lows. So this happens, quite a bit, even within this, There was a big sell-off. There was almost a rally up to the high. I've spent a lot of time. This ends up being some sort of rising wedge, higher time frame rising wedge, and then it breaks down, right? So this stuff happens a bit. So that makes things really confusing here. Where with respect to if I'm trying to like label what is this right here? Is this bullish, this bearish? What is this? Because there's all these little moments, these sell-offs, and then there's this rally. And when I turn volume on, there's a lot of volume on the sell-offs. There's not a lot of volume on these rallies, you know, on the buyback. Now, today, literally in the last 4-hour candle, that's the most volume we've seen from the bulls, except for like right at the kind of this Pico low, this, you know, where there was like a big battle fought. But honestly, this is really been very low volume. It's just kind of been drifting. All this. So the low volume in a bubble, okay, if all we're focusing on is this low volume rise along with this, I've got to in a very neutral way say this is not a great look, because it's almost like a rising wedge off the lows after all this trying to break out. So I don't like it. I don't like that it's coming back and that it's like it's having trouble making a big massive jump. I've got to think if this really was some sort of like Jabati trying to trick you into selling, I got to think it would just leave you behind and off we'd go, right? Like this thing would just full send. And maybe that's coming. Maybe this rising wedge, which in a bubble is a very bearish structure, especially off of a, you know, after a drop like this. Perhaps what's going to happen is it will break up, and now we're going to, you know, in hindsight be like, oh, you know what, this was kind of this like inverted head and shoulders or whatever. I don't know. But a breakup here could be a really strong bullish reversal, especially on the heels of this. But on its own, I don't like seeing something like this. What I would much rather see, let's say I could like, you know, just design my own price action. If I had all the money in the world and I'm trying to build us some sort of reversal, I would have this moment in time. Let's go back. I would do something like this. Big sell-off, consolidation, you know, big downtrend. The whole world can see there's this big massive downtrend. I just did something. Oh, tree. And break it low, come back up. Like this multi-week downtrend gets broken. Right now, you're not really setting up, the market anyway is not setting up anything really exciting for a breakup, other than maybe as far as like, you know, technical trader. I'm a technical trader. That means I want to look at the chart and see a reason to be very, very bullish. But when I see stuff like this, that does not get me bullish. Here's something that would, using the price action we actually see, you know, right in front of us. This would make me very bullish. Is some sort of breakdown, maybe run the lows now, bring it back. You know, now we have this sort of like double bottom, you know, using there's a sort of midline all through this entire trade range. That could be very bullish. Just more time at the lows. This is more what I'm getting at. I really think we need to see more time at the lows and the lows hold. This is the punchline here. Because again, when we look back at this price action, the market spent a lot of time in just pure greed and euphoria trying to break out, and it never did it. If we go back to the last time we were in a trade range, it really didn't spend all that much time at the highs until it broke down. Like when it would spend time at the highs, it would break down, spend a equal amount of time at the lows. So if you consider that the time of the high, there's the time of the lows, time of the high, time of the lows. And ultimately that was more than enough to get us, you know, that next leg up. This was the failure to continue caused these scary sell-offs, and this was weak hands transferring to strong hands, and the next thing you know, we're back up here. We don't have that same situation right now, and that's what's bothering me. Does the market care what Jack thinks? No. No, it doesn't. I recognize that. I understand that if the market wants to full send and go to infinity tomorrow, it can. I get it. Okay, but all I'm looking at here is what has happened in the context of price action. This Jabady, swing fail, SFP swing failure pattern. The everyone thought this was going to be a big breakout. It ends up being Jabade. It sells off all the way back to the lows. It runs the lows, and now this is like low time frame, good opportunity for the bulls to step in. And we've just kind of done this rising wedge thing, which is not necessarily what you'd want to see. Yeah, so that's, I don't know, that in a vacuum, this is my perspective, my worry. Like I'm not trying to use the word distribution or anything like that. I'm trying to just kind of bring it up and look at it a different way. If let's look at it again one last time, and then I'll check on the chat comments, guys. I'm kind of intentionally not looking right now, and then we'll circle back and we'll get questions and stuff. But let's look at this in the confines of, say, the Bollinger Bands. Okay, we're at the 4-hour high. The 4-hour B bands are sucking in. So there's a big move brewing, according to Bollinger Band stuff. The 12-hour, this is still sucking in. That's what the Bollinger Bands sound like, in case you were curious. The 1 day, we've come back up on the Bollinger Bands. We've hit the midline to the B band. If this reaction was short-lived, if it was going to run out of steam, this is literally the spot where it would happen. I think it's interesting that the lower time frame has this kind of rising wedge thing. A very bullish continuation would be something like that. I think running the lows again and then coming back into the range would be huge. I think that's the kind of thing where I would get real excited. I would start being like, okay, hey, you know what? Scratch the whole distribution talk. Now we're cooking. But for now, this on the Bollinger Band side, there's nothing that gets me excited quite yet. So let's go from here to the Ichimoku, and we're going to start on the daily. Remember, these are double settings, and then we're going to work our way down. So what we see, price finds support on the slow moving average, and it is finding resistance, I guess, for now, although it's just literally happening right this second. So I don't know if that's truly fair, but there's 8 hours left in this daily candle. Price doesn't appear to have been able to get over the fast moving average. So interesting stuff there. If we drop to the 12-hour, we're in the cloud. You know what? Let me change this gray. This gray's kind of annoying. What are we going to make it? Yeah, that's good. I can see that easy. 12 hours interesting. There's not a whole lot to write home about. Price kind of rallied off nothing, but again, this is 12-hour. Not historically, really significant. 4-hour, let's see. So lots of crosses. Here's a cross. There's a cross, there's a cross, there's a cross, and now it's crossed again. The last time it crossed was back here. It made one more leg, and then that was like the Pico top. The time before that, where it crossed in a bullish manner, which is kind of what we're suggesting may be happening here. It was kind of the same thing. It was after an impulse, that was the top, and then it came down and actually recrossed. So I'm not necessarily convinced, while it's in this range, that this 4-hour TK cross is something, worth considering. I don't think it's all that significant, honestly. And then if we look at even like the lower time frame, again, this is the 1 hour is something that's actually the 2 hour. Let's start with that, because I pointed that out last stream. I thought I said that I liked this as something to keep an eye on. It ended up not really being all that interesting, because even though it did break into the cloud and close and do all this stuff, and it spent several days in the cloud, ultimately it did by definition go edge to edge, but it took it freaking forever, and it was a move. It was from 63,000 to 65. So on a $60,000+ asset, it moved $2,000. It's like, all right, how exciting was that? How useful is that? So I don't know. I think this is very interesting, though. The fact that on the 2 hour and the 1 hour, you kind of see this best. This is a very clear change in trend, since this top with the fat cloud the fat bearish cloud, the cross, and now you have price above the fast moving average, above the slow, above the bullish cloud. So on the ultra low time frame, which is the 1 hour right here, this is a very good sign. But you know, on the lower time frame you are, the less confidence you can have in it, honestly. So I wouldn't get like too hung up on that. All right, questions so far, guys. Questions so far. It's stalling out. Blame the ETFs. I need spot whether something is a fake out versus break up down, especially as you described if the bull scenario here is another run below support. So that's a good topic. Like, let's, oh, by the way, our last market power hour is out, chat.
Okay.
Okay. So help me out with the algo real quick. This was just published right before stream or right at stream. I'm putting it in chat here. This is the last market power hour, episode 15. Be sure to follow this and subscribe to this. There's only like 200 subscribers, but I know we have like a really good audience for market power hour. So this was a really fun episode. This was right before the halving. It's when things look the worst. It's actually pretty funny to look back on, because it was somewhere like back in here, ends up making, you know, this low, another low, and then rallies. So pretty funny. You know, obviously anything in hindsight can make you look like an idiot, but this was a good time and good conversation kind of across the board. And especially with Josh and Schmitty and the metrics they look at, which a lot of times are not things that I look at. Okay, so the question was, how can you, let's say like this, with respect to this rally, I think is what the gentleman was talking about in chat. With respect to this rally, how can you consider something strong or weak, right? Like, so this, why is this considered like a weak rally rather than a strong rally? Well, so the markets do this thing. Here's like kind of your textbook answer. Whenever you have a sell-off, the sell-off starts a trend. So like this is the new trend. And what you're really looking for, like this, I guess, is the trend. What you're looking for is a break of the downtrend. In this instance, it's a downtrend. So I'm going to show you something, and then I'm going to show you that when you invert the chart, it's literally the same both ways. It's not like it's not just a one-way thing. This is what I'm going to tell you is true for up or down. Okay. So the new trend in this situation is down. What you want to see is a type of thing that reverses this downtrend. So if you think of we always talk about like the Titanic turning, you know, markets go like sideways and then like a little bit down and then a lot down and then sideways and then, you know, a little bit up and then a lot up. And so you need these periods. You need to be able to identify these periods of like this slowdown, this rotation, you know, what's happening, that kind of thing. So this new downtrend is like the aggressive period of down. And so now in current practice, you have this. So a bearish consolidation, there are multiple, but let's talk about like two types of bearish consolidation. One is a rising wedge. And we'll focus on that because that's what we're looking at here. Now, a rising wedge is like, it's kind of stealthy in how it's bearish, because it's, you know, you've put in a low, you make a high, you make a higher low, a higher high, a higher low, a higher high, a higher low. So if your team, like, I only care about higher lows and higher highs, this is very tricky. And the next thing you know, it breaks and it comes down, and it's got a, you know, all of this stuff has a like a probability assigned to it of what are the odds of it breaking down. So saying that another way, none of these are 100%. It doesn't mean that's what has to happen, what will happen every time, etc. But there's a higher percentage chance of this thing breaking down, breaking whatever the support is, than breaking up. So I forget what it is off the top of my head. I think it's like 65-35. It's something like that. But there's Bulkowski's got a good website where he actually has all the statistics on this. And if that's important to you, you can go look that up. It's not, I don't trade like that closely where all that kind of stuff matters to me. It doesn't matter. So the rising wedge is one style of bearish consolidation. The next is a bear flag. Okay. And then the last one, same thing, by the way, a bear flag. A bear flag is a series of higher lows and higher highs all the way around. And then the last one, which is not so important today for today's conversation, but we'll talk about it anyway, is you have a big downtrend, and then there's equal highs and equal lows, followed by near the end of the range, a break above the highs, which is very confused, very Jabati, gets a lot of people Jabated into positions before ultimately giving it all back. We saw this back in like late 2021 or maybe it was first part of 2022. I don't remember. But Bitcoin literally did this on a high time frame, and it was really hard to catch. So again, let me draw like, you know, that and draw that. Okay. So ultimately, you know, these things tend to break down in this manner. Let's say I invert the chart. This is a bull flag or a bull pennant. This is a bull flag. Do we see kind of what we're talking about here? This is a series of lower highs and lower lows. Lower highs and lower lows. Yeah, if you're familiar with a lot of people, they're good in one type of market, and a lot of times it's a bull market. So they're used to seeing a bull flag or a bull pennant, and that's kind of, they're more comfortable with that. So the idea of showing them kind of the inverted, you know, maybe this like resonates more with people, but that's what's happening here. It's literally the same thing, just inverted. It's the same idea. You run out of sellers. The sellers are pushing it down, and then they run out, and that's it. Like they're done. What you tend to see is there's a big swell, like in this particular instance where it's like a bullish continuation. You see a big swell in sellers, and then they kind of trail off, and they trail off, and there's no more sellers to be had. They're done. They reacted. They had a very reactionary moment, but then it's not sustainable. There's not enough to keep things going. And next thing you know, we're taking off, and all these sellers have to switch to buyers. They have to flip their bias. And it's the same thing when you invert stuff. So you would expect to see a big impulse in buyers, and then the buyers kind of peter out, and then next thing you know, this thing goes down. So if we turn volume on, that's one of the things I'm looking for with this price action, is I want to see not just the, you know, okay, I know the buyers showed up. I get it. So there's a big group of people ready to buy at this level. But what about a continuation? What about sustainability? Where are the buyers? Did they continue coming in? And I don't really see that. Does it mean it can't continue? It just means that's not a checkbox we can check that, like, yes, the buyers are like really and truly showing up here. So here's like, you know, a great example over here. Big downtrend. Nice reaction. We came back, we ran the lows, and then everything from this point on, let's kind of focus on what happens as far as volume goes. So from that point on, you know, there would be these kind of decreases in volume, but then the bulls come back, and the bulls come back, and the bulls come back, and the bulls come back. It's not the bear market show, right? This is very, very bullish. Lots of bulls are showing up all through this range. There's the other things, the other boxes you can check that are in favor of the bulls. You know, there's this first reaction, there's a secondary reaction, there's a level is held, the lows are run. Anybody who had a stop down here, they had their stops run. This is all great to see. I love seeing this kind of thing for bullish continuation. This can still happen today. Okay, so we're not like writing that off. But all I'm trying to say is we haven't seen that kind of thing quite yet. And so that makes me a little bit more nervous about, like, you know, buying too much into the reaction that we're seeing right now. If we were going to, let me kind of put, you know what may be useful. Hang on. I'm going to delete all this away. Bear with me, chat. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. This may be useful for you guys. I do not want to want the crosshair. Okay. So here's Bitcoin. What are we on the 1 hour up here? I want the range. Let's do like a 4 hour. Maybe a 2 hour. Yeah, let's do that. 2 hour. All right, so here's our current range. And then down here, let's go back to that last true blue reaccumulation range that occurred like along the way, on the way up, back at kind of the 25 to 30 range. So this. Okay, let's focus on that real quick using the channel. There we go. Okay. Compare and contrast. It's like you're back in school, right? Okay. Price comes into the range. Spends time at the highs, time at the highs, time at the lows, time at the lows. Lots of time trying to break out, lots of time trying to break out, a little bit of time at the lows, a little bit of time at the lows. Now, the difference here is this is only about 30 days. So you see the 26th right here to the 26th. And then this was from March to October. Okay. So this is 6 months down here. This is, we're less than a month up here. So there was a significant amount of time. Like this was a whole month on its own. That little moment. This was a whole month on its own. So when you get lengthy amounts of time like that, you get a lot of confidence. But what I see here is a big sell-off and a reaction. A big sell-off and a reaction. Not even as strong a reaction. Like I would not say those are the same, but I would say that there's some sort of reaction in this fashion. That it's like, to me, if this is going to continue, this reminds me a lot of like this. It's like the initial reaction. It's the first response. It's the buyers who just happen to have sell orders ready and that kind of thing. That or buy orders. Sorry, it's the buyers who had buy orders ready. That's the vibe I get. I don't know that for sure. I'm just saying this is like the smell in the air that I get. What I really want to see that would give me a lot of confidence that, hey, this really is the real deal. This really is reaccumulation. It's just like what happened last time. I want to see a run back to the range lows and then bonus points for running the lows. Run all the stops. Anybody who had a stop, run them. That's literally what happened right here. It's like a, when you think of Wyckoff reaccumulation, or sorry, Wyckoff accumulation, you forms a range, it does some things, it runs the lows, it comes up, it consolidates and sends it, right? This is what you get a lot of times. This little stop run is so important. It happens all the time, and it's a way to run all the stops, make everybody have to chase it. Anybody with a long no longer has a long if they had any kind of stop, and next thing you know, off we go. It adds fuel to the fire. It adds all these people that got stopped out, they have to chase, and they're adding fuel to this trend, right? And then this ends up being what takes us up and out. So what I would expect if this is to bullishly continue, I would expect some sort of revisit to the lows, maybe consolidate even just sideways, for a little bit. I don't know what it'll look like, but I don't think that after all this failed breakout, after this big macro rising wedge, after this failure, after all these sells, all through this range that have come through, I don't think this little moment in time is enough to reverse all the, quote unquote damage done by that. I'm probably wrong, right? Like, let's be honest. I'm probably, we can all look back and laugh at this later. But if I'm just in a bubble and I'm looking at this, I need this is like part one of a 2-part reversal. I have not seen, it's been a long time since I've seen a downtrend truly reverse with like this, like with this rising wedge thing. It almost always requires a double tap, at minimum. That's probably best case. And now you've got these like, okay, you have this double bottom set up, and this has a target, right? And you can measure the neckline to the highs. You have all this kind of stuff. Also, the other thing is, even if this was to continue in, to the upward direction, I think spending more time at the lows is only going to help things. This will only add fuel to the eventual fire of the breakout. I don't think that just pivoting off the lows and just kind of like lottie-dotting our way up is really the best thing for the market. Maybe it is, but I still see a lot of open interest. I'm still very concerned with the levels of open interest we see. I want to see more. Like the open interest group has come back over the weekend. Like they have added to their speculation by about 10%. So it dropped from the high. It dropped about 20%, and then they're back, or actually probably closer to about 20% and change, 25%, and then they added back 10% over the weekend. So there's still a lot of speculation, a lot of gambling in the market, and that's part of it. The other part of it is this on its own. Remember, I'm a chart guy. This on its own is not what a bullish reversal looks like. The other way to look at rising wedges too is like, okay, big swell of buyers, smaller swell of buyers. An equally kind of small, I guess, compared to this little range group of buyers. Okay, now what? Is there going to be enough? So I recognize there was the halving. The halving was back here, like somewhere like kind of right in this bubble. So the $1 million question is, will the reduction in supply be enough to allow this thing to drift up and out, which is what the bulls' best case is, like the most gratifying bullish scenario where they don't have to wait, they don't require any patience, they just go for it. It's just like up only. That's what that scenario would look like, and that's the $1 million question: is the supply reduced enough for us to see an immediate reaction in the market? Historically speaking, it's often taken up to 3 months before the supply shock, the reduction of the Bitcoin coming out every day. It's taken several months before that's actually shown up. A lot of times it's after a big sell-off too. So who knows? Like, these are just all things to consider. All right, back to chat. Sorry, guys. Thanks, Shaq. Very interesting. You bet, dude. Moon Boys need 50. I mean, maybe. I do wonder if TradeFi is a relief soon. Lots of earnings coming this week. Going to be interesting. So what do you think about Bitcoin dominance? It's in a big range. I haven't looked at dominance in a hot minute. It's kind of a good call. But, so I would say that, like, yeah, this does seem like a big rising wedge. But at the same time, I'm not going to be trading that. Dominance is like one of the worst things to actually trade. You know what I mean? Like pivot into alts, pivot back, whatever. Unless you have a big, really, really firm level that the market's reacted to a number of times. Like, this was 4 or 5 touches, 4 or 5 touches across 3 years or something like that. Okay, you want to trade against that, that's fine. But I don't know, the market, I mean, just look at all this chop. Imagine thinking like, oh, we got a breakdown, right here in this moment. This is, imagine you go back in time, right? Oh, you can't do replay here. Let's, like that. Hey, big uptrend break. We're definitely good. Like, alts are gonna moon. Here we go. And it does all that. Like, I don't know what to make of all that, right? Like, how do you actually trade all that? So I don't know, man. I don't love all that. I do think this is the best. This is the best setup for the bulls. The best start of a setup for the bulls that we've seen since this moment in time. Since March, since second week of March. This leaving the range and coming back is a great look. I don't think it's enough. It's a good start. I think that's a pretty fair statement. I'm trying to be as like neutral, no bias as possible. It's a good start. I don't think it's enough to just do that. I think we need more of this. Maybe one of these. I mean, like, imagine like that. Holy crap, that's the easiest long of my life right there. That breakdown, come back. Also, easiest long of my life. But just like a single day. I don't know, man. I can't see it. I can't see it. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's take a look at funding. Are people long? Are people short? Are they in between? I see a lot of green. So that would get me to be like, oh, I lean bullish. But then when I actually look at them, these numbers are very, very small. This is effectively zero across the board. So a bullish spin on that is that funding's been reset. That people are not margin long like they were back in these levels, which is a good take. That is fair. That is completely fair. The other side is usually true reversals take place, you know, reversals of like a trend. Typically, a reversal will take place on a spike the wrong direction. So, for example, when I come down and I look at funding, you can see that, like, look at this green spike right here. That funding spike what marks our top. I want to look at this closer. There we go. How bad did things get right here? 0.01. That's like, I see almost no shorts, no periods of time with large shorts. Now there's red here, which indicates that shorts did show up, like there were shorts. Not to say that they weren't in the market, but I'm not seeing big monster numbers. I see these are humongous longs. These are people paying crazy numbers to margin long the tippy top. And the question is, have those people been flushed out yet? The people up here and up here. Maybe because we ran the range lows. But I haven't seen the equivalent the other direction. You know, like I see a lot of people who went margin long up at these tippy tops. I don't see a lot of people who went margin short. DYDX had a pretty, like a good size negative number, implying like decent size shorts here, but that's kind of it. Otherwise, these things have been a fraction of what some of these top margin long groups were. I don't know. Time will tell. Who knows? Been very interesting. Bison, what's up? Will they make it easy though? No, absolutely. That's one thing, man. These market makers, they know how to just confuse the hell out of everybody. It's like I said before, man. You are trading against the same AI brains that make these deep fakes that you plug in just some words and it generates like a whole video. Like that's what we're up against, guys. We're trying to make sense of what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Do you think it's possible we form a large falling channel? Yeah, I think so. I would call it probably a bull flag though, if we end up doing something like that. I don't like this breakout. I think that kind of muddies the waters. So I'm less interested in that. I think the horizontals are still the best way to do it. I bet the market makers are confused. Probably, dude. They're looking around like, what do we do now? What do we do now? I think it's useful too, guys, to look around at other stuff. So Bitcoin is basically back at its midline, right? If I turn the midline on, basically at its midline. Actually, that's probably, yeah, that's probably the better way to view it. Effectively the same midline. Tall and strong. You know what I haven't looked at? What percent retrace is this from this sell-off? Oh, wow. Interesting. It's not a whole lot to. This looks parabolic, but I can't really identify it. You know what I mean? Like I can't find get my arms around it. Or the arc tool. Have you seen Schmitty's take today? No, I haven't looked around at anything. What about a 3-day or weekly inverted head and shoulders starting to create a right shoulder? We can check that out. RSI, that's something I haven't looked at in a minute too. We can turn that on. Yeah, this is 4-hour RSI has been very interesting because not only does it tend to mark a bottom, which was like, you know, you'd be a buyer at that low or near it. After having been a seller up in here, you would have sold in here. You would have been a somewhere, you know, not perfect, right? So you got some bottom buy signals, seller there. Interesting stuff, but yeah, I bet you're right. I bet wherever the 4-hour RSI comes in, like that's going to be probably our top for whatever, and that could be like right here where it is, I guess. I don't know. It's very difficult to tell. This is a very, very tricky market. Guys, I don't know if you knew, but this market is tricky. So Horowitz, I think you're right, man. I think the 4-hour RSI is definitely something to keep an eye on. And we should check that every now and then. So we'll leave RSI pulled up just as kind of our gentle reminder to do that. Ethereum, which is a nice like a proxy for the alt market, right? This I was looking at this over the weekend. That I could see being in some sort of bull flag. Like that's an easier sell than anything Bitcoin's doing. It's hard to like squirrel Bitcoin into a bull flag is what I'm saying. But I can make that argument for Ethereum. If that is what this is. This market is so tricky. All of these low time frame parabolic moves. This is a little side note. Every time I've seen these parabolic moves, it's been a top. Every single time. Since the Pico top we identified. Even on Bitcoin. This has been it's like if you see this, if you put on like the 10-minute candles or 20-minute candles and you get these little parabolic moves, it's almost always a top. I don't think we're actually seeing that here. I think this is something different. So I'm not trying to be like, and therefore, like that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying if we do start seeing this, pay attention. In fact, we saw it so many times. This is when I opened like some big fat shorts that paid for all the giveaways. So don't hate me. I'm like Robin Hood, okay? I took from the greedy and I gave to the poor. For my grandkids, quad use down 10% today. Come on, man. Oh, it is. Ah, puke. I hate Quad U. Dude, I'm gonna capitulate. I'm gonna be a bottom signal. Ugh. I'm so sick of Quad U, I'm not gonna lie. Daily RSI level 2. Daily RSI. I haven't looked at daily RSI. Pretty low. Daily RSI is like loving it. How did this perform last cycle? Let's check that out. That was kind of meaningless. Near the midline, below the midline, at the midline, below the midline. It didn't really give you much. The lower the better. I think it's hard to get a lot of read on this because the sell-off during COVID was like coiling the spring. I don't think we've seen anything like that here. Tricky, guys. This is when I think about the guys who only buy spot Bitcoin and chill. And I'm like, you know what? That's why you do it. This is a great time to do that. You calling me poor? If you were a top longer, then yeah, probably. You think 59K were the lows? I don't know. I'm not equipped to answer that yet. I think, like I said earlier, this is a good start. Very, very seldom is this enough. I think it would make a lot of sense to do maybe like an impulse, come back down, maybe even run the lows and then, and then reverse. But my worst market, I'll tell you this all day. Like I will admit to this all day. My worst market is up only. I never know how to read it, how to trade it, how to do anything. All I know is like the default norms of stuff. And that serves me well a lot of times, like expecting this breakdown, knowing that this is probably like an interim top, knowing there's a range and like shorting the range highs and that kind of stuff. And then I closed all my shorts after this reaction right here. But all this little like slow drift, drifting is not anything I have any confidence in. I will never have confidence in that. Tricky, guys. Crazy. The poor, thank you. I'm the poor. All Bitcoin is welcome. Wowie, congrats on your win, man. How much did you win, Wowie? I forget. I just send out all kinds of stuff. Dan said, when are we going to fall out of this rising wedge, Jack? Dude, I don't know. I don't even know if we are, right? This market doesn't care what I think. All right, let's do a distribution update. So I spent the first hour talking about anything but distribution. Like I was just trying to, like, in a bubble, how would you look at this, and kind of holding it up to the light and looking at it different ways. I think we did a pretty decent job of that without having to without talking about distribution or like having to act like we're dying on a hill or something. But now let's focus on distribution and let's see, how does this play into things? Has it been invalidated? Like what's going on? Okay, so here is our schematic. There we go. Distribution. The genesis of the idea came back in here. There was this rising wedge. There was a breakdown from the rising wedge. And as of last stream, not the halving stream, but the, before that with Market Power Hour and all that. As of last stream, The assumption was like we're either at this first LPSY or the second, with an imminent big sell-off on the way. So this, within the confines of distribution, that was the expectation. So what did we actually get? What happened, from that moment on? So the last stream was somewhere kind of like back here. We got a big sell-off. We got some consolidation. We got a couple like bounces, a little bit of consolidation. These are 4-hour candles. So this is a very short period of time. This is like a week, basically, this entire thing. And Bitcoin moved from 67,000 to as low as 59. Boy, we were this close to hanging the bear head on the wall, which we said we were going to do upon the confirmation of distribution. But it never confirmed. Remember, distribution does not confirm until you close below the range, which it never did. So price never closed below the range. It kind of teased it a couple times, and now we find ourselves 10% higher. Okay, so it went from 60,000-ish to 66 and change, and it's doing this like bleeding up thing. So the whole concept behind distribution is that everybody gets like tricked into taking the wrong trade, and then the rug is pulled and everybody's down bad. Like that, like big picture, 60 IQ, that's kind of what's going on. So here's my perspective on this. Either this is basically being invalidated right before our eyes with this slow drift up, because it's allowing people who were trapped. Now, not necessarily this group, because this group is who's the most trapped. So we're not like up in here yet. But it's at the midline or past the midline of the entire range, which means there's a lot of people who've been able to close a position if they wanted to. So that's kind of like concerning with respect to that. This may not be distribution because it didn't just like straight rug them when it had the chance to, right? In fact, it's like rallying back to the midline. So that is take one. And then here's take two, that this is squeezing out one last group of hopeful buyers. It's getting them in, getting them long, getting them to buy before, the rug gives out and then this whole thing goes down. Remember, we did measure too that from this sell-off, price is sitting at the 61.8. So is this just some sort of LPSY reaction to the sell-off before it comes back down, below? Maybe, I don't know. So I am at the point where I'm getting real serious about potentially having distribution invalidated. This is the first time you could even have this conversation. Back when there was a lot of prominent people like kind of throwing out the hopium of, no, it's reaccumulation and stuff like that. But they're saying it like back in here, or they're saying it on this first sell-up. There's no time other than now, or maybe a few days ago, where you could even say that this is potentially reaccumulation. Now is the right time to have that conversation, but we need more confidence. The market tends to give you a lot of confidence before a move, lots of time at the lows. Remember, this was 6 months. And here we've been up here 28 days or something. So this is a lot different. It's not the exact same as what we've already had. We have already had true blue reaccumulation. We haven't had that confirmed up here. So what I would love to see is actually a visit, something like that. Maybe something scary that like comes back into the range where there's like other little downtrends that you could mark out and be, oh, hey, you know what? It broke that downtrend, that kind of thing. Otherwise, this to me looks like one kind of last gasp, which is what rising wedges tend to be. And so I guess within the realm of distribution, this is not a great thing to see, because you would expect some sort of like very swift visit to the lows and then some. I don't know. So I would have bet money that we would have broken down right there if this was going to happen. And so the fact that we're rallying, it really has me like, okay, the odds have shifted, right? It's like a sports game. You're betting on the Mavericks, and then suddenly the top 4 star players they all twisted their ankles. They're all out of the game. And now you feel a lot less confident in your boys than, you did at the start of the game before everybody got injured. So to me, this is very close to blowing up this leg of what you would expect. So yeah, we're getting serious about it. Gonna be very interesting. This is exactly where I implement my favorite Jackism, DCA and HODL. Hey, you want a DCA and HODL? Do it, man. I will never tell you that's a bad move. Johnny Bitcoins, Dylan LeClaire tweet. Hold on, let's see. What is this? What is this Dylan tweet? We're now above let's see. Now above average short-term holder cost basis. You got to be careful with these guys though, like Willy Woo and Dylan and all these guys. They just tell you what you want to hear a lot of times. Not trying to be ugly to Dylan. I'm not, but he's the laser-eyed Maxi and he's on the Bitcoin shows and like he's invited to all the Bitcoin things and he's got the, all the stuff and the Bitcoin this and that. Like, so he's gonna, especially in these moments, there's like these analysts, there's a group of analysts that I've never heard him call a top, even an interim top, or seen him call an interim top or anything like that. They're always like, yeah, things look great, in the very like unuseful way. And I don't know where he fit. I don't know if Dylan fits in that or not. I just don't follow him a whole lot. But I'm just saying, as a general rule, you gotta be kind of careful with this stuff. Like if he said something about like, hey, this moment using this metric means this is probably a good time for a breather, then that could be interesting. The metric on its own is kind of interesting. Like I can see why it's something he's interested in. But you can see there's periods of time where it's in the negative. So it's not necessarily like things have to go up. It's not some up only type metric. I don't know. Yeah, something. Short-term holder cost basis. I don't know. Interesting though. Thanks for sharing. Interesting metric. Wow, I sent you the $15. Congrats on the 15, brother. Yeah, guys, in case you haven't put it together, what I'm looking for is more confidence. I need more confidence in what this market's doing. Not a quick, like, we rose 10% in like 3 days. That's awesome. That's great. What's up? I need more than that. Tweaky, what'd you say? Don't tell me what to see. Tell us what we want to hear. Bitcoin to 100K. I expect this to be a sufficient bribe, and then sends 100 biddies. Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for the biddies. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely 66,500 is on the menu. He's gonna take way more biddies for the 100K call. Okay, that's all I'm saying. You gotta bribe me way more than that. All right, so let's look across the board, kind of what's going on. I'm gonna put on the 4-hour. Like, what are the meme coins doing? Like, what's Doge doing? Doge had this little break, okay. Sort of an uptrend going on, okay. What about Whiff? Whiff had a big uptrend that broke. Now it's head and shoulders-y. Shib. Whoa! Dang, Shib. Holy crap. What's up? All right, Shib. I see you. What about like Pepe? Interesting stuff. Whoa! Okay, all right, with the 1,000 biddies, bro. Okay. The 1,000 biddies. Wow, thank you for the 25 months, dude. Tweaky Fish, you know what, bro? The more I look at this chart, I kind of think, we're just going to do this. Chad, this is what 1,000 biddies gets you. Bro. This is definitely where we're headed. You know what? The more I look at this, these more rockets, I'm on it, fam. You need a few more? Easy. Easiest 100K call of my life. Chat. You need this? You need that for whatever your favorite altcoin is? This is the only TA we actually need. Dude, y'all really like that. Post it to y'all's granny. Dude, I bet I guaranteed I pick up like 100,000 followers on Twitter. I do something like that. I put a call, like a half serious call like that out. Boy, I'd be popping off so fast. That is the secret for more followers, by the way. Just to trade. Like if you pull up the Wall Street Psychology chart, I've actually like watched this happen in real time. All you got to do to build a huge following is be max bullish. Oh, stop it. Bring to front. Okay. You need to be max bullish up in here. Make up price targets, whatever. And be max bearish down in here. Talk about how we're going to go lower. You know, like the fear and greed indicator? You just need to be that. And boom, you'll quintuple my following overnight. Just tell the people what they want to hear. Tell them what they want to hear. Tell the masses what they want. Easy. Easy. Please don't I follow you because you're the best kept secret in CT. Dude. No shot. I'm sure there's lots of people better than me. I have my moments, right? I have moments I'm very proud of, but I have no crystal balls. Let's see. Make that arrow green. Start a subscription Substack. Just choose rich, Jack. Bro, it makes me want to do the arrow again with all the with all the spaceships and then write choose rich. I'm laughing just thinking about it. All right, Soul. I want to take a look at Soul real quick. My buddy introduced me to a YouTube guy who leverages 1-minute charts, charges $99 a month to join his group. Dude, I know. I had paid groups hit me up and ask me to provide them with content for their followers. This was last cycle. It hadn't happened this cycle. But it happened more than once. A known paid group with a whole follower group and everything, they wanted me to read the charts and feed them the info and then not tell anyone else. Not stream it, not YouTube it, not do anything. Feed it to them, and then they would give me a cut of what their members paid. Y'all are lucky I ain't no sellout. Just saying. Because it was not small money. But I think that's dirty. That's not why I do this. If I wanted to do that, I'd have sold out long ago. What do y'all think, chat? What do y'all think about all this? Where do you think it's headed? Give me your read. I wish we could do a live watching just to see Jack's face when he's giving his TA. Oh, when I'm watching the 1 minute guy. Short everything, no idea, that's why I'm here. Bro, I'm here for you. I want to hear what you had to say. Max Payne seems to be 65, 67 snail crawl. That's fair. Does seem to be wrecking a lot of people. Sideways and a sudden dump. I think we run the lows first. I like that. I like running the lows and then a reversal. I think that's probably like the cleanest setup. To be honest, I wanted to be over this uncertainty. Yeah, I feel that. I want 54K months of sideways, then up only. Good point to break down from this mid-range here. Reclaim 66, 68. Then go for it. Yearly pivot or I cut it off? You cut what off, bro? Your hair? I hope it's your hair. Or I'm going to start calling you Miss Jake. 69, 420. I was in a pot of different people who like you basically bet what the price was going to be at the halving. That was my guess, was 69 420. I was very much let down. I think it's interesting that crypto leads the broader market down at the beginning of April. As we get late April, the S&P seems to be finishing its correction while crypto's stabilizing. Could be a recovery across the board. Yeah. Schmitty was pointing that out right in the market power hour, and I think he was bang on to do it. Of course, the correction we're talking about for the broader market is this. This is the S&P. So it's like, you know, is this really what a reversal looks like? Is it going to V recover? I don't know. I think there's a long way till we really know. I think this could be interesting though. I think this midline could be interesting. You know, one or the other. I don't know. But if it is going to reverse here, I think it would be within the confines of like a broader range, right? Like you can even see the market's respected the midline here. So I'm going to leave this up. Not that I'm calling for a reversal here, but if it does, I think it would help us understand, you know, everything else to come after it. What about the Dixie inflation ticker? Oh, DXY, the strength of the dollar. Yeah, we haven't actually looked at that in a minute. Let's pull it up. I don't even have it off on my my watch list. I don't really know how to read the Dixie. You know, obviously I see this like, what did Schmitty call it? A compound fulcrum. I see it. It's almost like a, it's like a bat signal. Or a double bottom or something. I see it. I take it real serious on a break up here, but we haven't quite done it. Could this little, you know, one little downtrend, is that enough to kill it? Something like that would make Bitcoin go up and the S&P go up. So I think it's important to keep an eye on and maybe not front run this. Although I do totally see a scenario where we do that. But it's one of those, like, when you're at a key level, do you want to buy resistance, or do you want to wait till it comes, you know, above it and then be the buyer right there, even though it's effectively the same? I like that. What do you think about bullish rate cuts? I don't know. Dude, I'm starting to see stuff about rate increases because they can't get inflation under control. Holy crap, imagine. Dude, no way. I mean, I may never financially recover from the Tesla downtrend. Really? Dude, we talked about that for a long time. Last market top, that is. It did bounce earlier than I thought. That like $100 bid. I haven't looked at Tesla since this. And look what it did. Lol. So that's a really stark change of character. Y'all seen the Tesla bots, by the way? Like the live in your house robots that'll do your dishes and stuff? Like that's what they're positioning for next. It's kind of crazy. Hey, that's pretty good, huh? I think that's a W. I think the market really likes that. I think the market really likes this. I think maybe that's the way to look at this thing. When concerts are still selling out with average tickets over 200 bucks, who thinks a cut is necessary? Yeah. I was shocked when they ever started talking about cuts, to be honest. We out here spending money like it's nothing. Well, yeah, I go back and forth on that. So I'm with you on that. Like, I get it. But at the same time, couldn't it be too that the dollar is just being like worth less? Like it's being devalued faster? I don't know. We'll leave it. We'll leave it for now. Quad U wrecks us again? Dude, that's what I hear. Let's look at Quad U real quick. This is Pico support or the whole thing blows up. That's where we're at with Quad U. This is either the like as bad as it gets for Quad U or the whole setup blows up. Place your bets. Isn't it always fun to hold something that goes parabolic to the downside? Yeah, the devaluation's insane aside from inflation. Yeah, dude. That's kind of interesting to me. There's like this little downtrendy boy and price just keeps getting like shoved up into it. But I don't like on Ethereum in a vacuum. I don't have anything great to write home about. Like anything useful, good or bad or anything. There's not a whole lot here. There's sort of a trend kind of being respected. Maybe there's equal lows. It's hard to tell with all this volatility. Maybe it's a symmetrical triangle of some sort. Good luck. Good luck. I'm back in my break even for Quad U for the 5th time. Bro, dude, I'm so tired of Quad U. I'm not gonna lie. Gold doing some interesting things. Huh. Nvidia puked its brains out Friday. Gold looks kind of double topped almost, huh? Look how it landed perfectly in our sell zone. That's awesome. I love seeing that. We put that on the chart forever ago, like right at the start of this breakout. Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff. My squiggles. My squiggles, they're perfect. I'm the best squiggler around, chat. Squiggle with the best of them. Pro squiggler. That's going to be my new Twitter bio. Pro squiggler. That's interesting. What else? Anything else like interesting out there? Flipped my quad U into PayPal. All right. Oil? Oil's interesting. Okay. Andrew Tate's interesting. What? Okay. Good comps. What is it? It's like exclamation point something. Oil? No. What's the ticker, chat? What am I for oil prices and stuff? CL. Yeah. There we go. Thank you. Man, we haven't looked at this in a minute, huh? I remember talking about this. Nobody wanted to hear it. Talking about going range high to range low. I think that's close enough. I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna take credit. It was $1 away from our support line. Funny. Almost looks like Dixie kind of, right? This little fulcrum-y thing. Lower time frame, parabolic break to the downside. I think it's got to find support. I don't think it's found it yet. A lot of volatility. What am I looking at, chat? What is this? There's like a bunch of individual things happening here. I can't get, like, find anything really useful here. Take a shower, shine your shoes. That's like 2 years of price action. It's kind of interesting, I guess. I don't think it's very useful, though. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. UNH is interesting. Okay. Jack, do you think Link is doing a reaccumulation? Can you make sense of it? Let's look. We'll do Link and then UNH. Anything that's maybe in reaccumulation, I'm down to check. Wait, log. That's what we want. I just think it's range bound. Like this, there's this larger range. It could be reaccumulation, but you need a lot more time, I think. Like imagine it just kind of smacks these lows before finally breaking up. That would be like a really big check mark for reaccumulation. But I think we're getting a little ahead of our skis here for that. UNH. Kind of did the thing. All right, what do we got? These markets love just a range. Holy crap. It's like it's all it does anymore, just ranges. So this gives me like double top vibes. Obviously there's this like crazy reaction off the low, so is that about to get blown up? Maybe. I don't know. But I'm just saying like high time frame. Seems like it. You want to look at forward? Okay. Look like forward. To me, this does look like a double top. Obviously, you would do the measured move. But who knows? Like, it's not really confirmed until you break below here and close. And it literally just like gigasent 20% or something right there. So, I don't know. Just looks very Jabady. Wait, is F? Yeah, forward motor curve. There we go. Oh, la, la, la. So there's a lot going on here. You could have horizontals kind of all through this thing. There's not like one perfect set of them, but I think these are the most important. This is for Ford Motor Company. There's kind of this macro level where there's this is where the buyers step in, and I'm really using that, and that, and I'm basically just wholesale ignoring this. This is 2009. This is like a multi-decade range. Okay, that's why this is kind of goofy. There's this top. Most recently, there's been this visit of the highs, and it seems like the market kind of enjoys doing this thing of like high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low. So I would expect this to break down, although there was on the lower time frame, it already tried to, and it rallied from it. So I think if it breaks out of this, you know, this little downtrendy guy, probably another visit of the highs is worth considering. And that may not seem like much because it's, you know, just this pixel space right here. But really, it's from like $14 to over 20 to like 23 as a percentage. That's like Bitcoin doubling almost. You know, that's a big percentage move. But this is a good start. This little jabatery would like kind of have you leaning up. Unless it does it again, and then it'll just turbo send it to the lows. Just like you've seen this kind of stuff before. It's like, haha, no, we're going up. Psych, you thought. You're killing me with that booty. Yeah, no, something interesting. Dude, all these markets are just like up, down, up, down, up, down. I hate ranged markets. I love trending markets. That's my bread and butter. Tesla, we already looked at. SILJ. I mean, it's interesting. I like all the gold and silver setups. I don't like when they fail to break out like that and they smack their head on the ceiling. Usually means there's got to be like some support found somewhere, and that's kind of the $1 million question is like, okay, well, is it going to consolidate right below the high? Like, I still think this is going to clear this level at some point, especially after running these lows, and then finally rubber band snapping up. But $1 million question is like, when? You know, after what? After that? After that? After that? I don't know. AMC? Oh my gosh. No, I have not looked at AMC. Holy. Dude, this thing went to 0. What was the high on this? $400. $390. Holy. The ending to this is Big Booty Mix 20. This is kind of goated. Hold on, I'm going to back it up, turn the volume up.
Every time you hear the sound of my voice, just know I'm burning on the inside, and the truth is that I didn't know how good you were until you were gone.
And I love it. I love how they blend it all together. Whew. I get chills when the "Stay With Me" comes in. Nihil for what, buddy? For Bitcoin? I'm just on SoundCloud, guys. I'm linking where like the site I'm on. This is number 20. I think this is probably the best way to view it, even though it's not great.
We have defended our home.
We've defended our
We have found
home.
victory, but not with
They always do this goofy like outro thing. I think for AMC this is probably the best you're gonna get. I don't have a high degree of confidence. It looks like it's just range bound. Kind of all I'm saying. For all charts in general, I use volume to confirm a move. When it's just trending in a range, what is volume going to do to help me? Oh yeah, there's a big spike in volume. Oh, there's a big spike in volume. There's the teensy little bit of buyers. I like that doesn't. How does this help me in any way? How does that help anybody? I don't think that it. I think if you're looking for is a breakout real or not, for example, that's a great time to look at volume. But I think getting hung up on like the nuances of every little move with respect to volume, I think is a bad idea. Like for example, price broke out. There was a at the time it was just a little downtrend. You couldn't have looked at it in the perspective of a range. Breakout, low volume, high volume, return back into the range. Great example of volume, confirming that the breakout was not going to happen. And this breakdown was, right? That's a great use of volume. But when it comes to today, there's nothing to write home about. The last big swell in volume was on this breakdown. So I think it's just range bound until further notice. You really love someone, no. Bitcoin's another great example of like volume's kind of useless right now. Like for example, you see the big swell in sellers. Even if I throw it on like the 30-minute, I see a lot of sellers all through this range. I don't see a lot of bullish buyers except for like this one little moment right here. But aside from that, you know, I'm just Xing saying like if beyond that, like past that, I have not seen a lot of buyers show up. A lot of the sellers got absorbed down here at the lows. That's like the most bullish twist you can put on things when you focus on volume. I think this is a good sign for the bulls that this did not break down below the range and, you know, go on a trend to new lows. But I think everything after is just kind of like holding and everyone's just waiting. I feel like this is just a big waiting game. And if you do the higher time frame, all through this range, there's like a decrease in volume, big swell in volume. But now again, it just seems like it's just like another decrease in volume. So I think everybody's waiting, bulls and bears, everyone's waiting for the next move. And again, if you missed the like early part, I really think a move to the lows and back would be the most bullish thing possible, because that's almost always what happens when something really is about to move to the next leg. Whether it's like true blue reaccumulation or whatever, there's like an initial move, breach to the upside, some consolidation, and then a breakdown, whatever. But like, there's not just one little impulsive move up. There's multiple. There's lots of time spent. And so far, all we have is this kind of rising wedge thing. And rising wedges can break up. It's a low odds bet. I wouldn't bet the house on something like that happening ever. Even if you're like the most bullish guy in the room, you can be really careful with this kind of thing. But it can happen. They can break up. It's not like they can't. They can. But I would love to see the easier trade for me is something like that and then back. And now you have like double bottom setups. Now you have like, potentially inverted head and shoulders, depending on the look of it. Even something really nasty like this could be a really positive way to do things. Get lots of people shorting, ends up being this inverted head and shoulders. There's a clear neckline, everything breaks up. That's my favorite setup, something like that. But up only, I just hate up only. It almost always ends in disaster. Ugh. You buy the breakout to the upside usually, but then there's a top after that. Yeah, for sure, dude. For sure. You would so the way you trade a rising wedge breakout is A lot of times there'll be a breakout, some consolidation, and then like a big impulsive move, and that'll mark the top. That's what a lot of times that's what I end up seeing on this stuff. Breakout, consolidate, moonshot. So that's what I would watch for right here. I do think it's interesting that on, say, like the lower time frame, the sellers showed up, but it didn't really do much to price. Like it didn't lower it. On these like kind of 10-minute, we're just ranging. So it's interesting. It's all very interesting price action. Not to say it's not. And I'm not trying to say I'm not trying to pretend like it's bearish just to back up the whole distribution thing. A rising wedge is not a great thing to see after a run of the lows. It can morph into more positive things. It can even break down and become something better, like a, butterfly, turning into a butterfly. I mean, I think this would be like the best view possible. Run the lows, come back up, consolidate, send it. But this kind of like drift up, even though it could go on to be like really good in hindsight, in the moment, it's really hard to know what's going on. When I see XRP pump without Bitcoin, I always lean short. That's funny, dude. Did you look at whale wallets yet? I saw that 3 Bitcoin wallets with 50,000 Bitcoin each are buying this current range, but I don't know if it's true. No, I have not. I don't put a lot of stock into what the whale wallets are doing, but you're right. I think next stream we'll look at sentiment more and we'll kind of explore that some more. Let me do some prep work off stream and kind of get all that put together. Let's see. What do you think about Nifty or Bank Nifty? What is Nifty? Nifty. He said they're in an election or something right now. Daily. I think this is parabolic. Yeah. Okay. This looks kind of like a top to me, closer to a top than a bottom, this right here. Reason being, it definitely went parabolic and it was being respected. All through here, it was being respected, broke down, retested from below. And usually when I see that kind of thing, that ends up marking the top, like the Pico top. Lower time frame, you could probably make a case for a Head and Shoulders or something. Also, I do think this is kind of interesting. It looks like there's a channel. Kind of interesting, right? Yeah, like that. Like that. Respect. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Time will tell. All right, so here's the thing on this this rising wedge thing, or whatever it ends up being. We're almost at the apex. The apex is like the cap, the tippy point, right? We're out of room. This thing is going to have to decide what it's going to do next. So place your bets. This is like the most opportune time to place your bet. If you're betting one way or another, if you're the gambling type, now's the time for your gamble. That's it. Chat, I think that's gonna do it for me. My wife is home today, so we're gonna hang out. I'm gonna go eat lunch with her, that kind of thing. And if I get on later, if you see me go live again, I'll be playing a little bit of Rust. There was a fresh wipe on Thursday. I have not gotten much time to play at all. I built a base and that was about it. But I've not run around. I've not done oil. I've not done cargo. The new cargo, I haven't even done it. So anyway, maybe we come back on later. We do that kind of stuff. So be sure to follow if you want that, if you want the notification. Dude said Bitcoin greater than wife. Little devil smile, devil kappa. All right. Big love to you all, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Mods, thanks for being here. Pantauga, W, Josh, everybody. I think we'll call it there. And hopefully I'll get back on later. We can run around for a couple hours. But if not, we will see you Wednesday. See you Wednesday. All right. Big love to you all. See you guys. I'm out.